What's up, folks? This is your boy Dino, aka Solid Five.
And Nikki Teague, Bay Area Creeping It Real, and we
We
are
are the
the
Boo
Boo
Crew.
Crew. Oh,
Um, yeah, so we got a special guest here today with us. We have Matthew Lee Anderson of Key 13 Films,
that's right.
writer, director, producer, owner of Key 13 Films,
All the
man
above.
of yeah, many hats. So first of all, how you doing?
I'm doing well. It's just been busy. We finished filming the weekend before last, and so now I'm heavy in post-production on two films, a horror film called Quattro and a LGBTQ thriller called Following.
Hmm.
And
Okay.
while we're also looking at starting up pre-production on Sexy Sorority Sisters of Death.
Yeah.
So we've been the cast announcements. I've been just doing a couple a day, and that's just been pretty much just kept me busy nonstop. It's amazing how much work you got to put in for social media.
Yeah.
Oh, I
No.
know. I hate it, but it's gotta you gotta do it. That's the only way you get your word out, right?
Yeah.
So.
Yeah.
Maintaining Instagram is a son of a bitch, I can tell you that.
Mm-hmm.
I'm on it constantly, and I'm like, I don't want to do this, but I have to. Um, so what I want to know, first of all, before we start with the films, a little bit about your background. I don't really know much about you, so like,
Yeah, same.
a little bit of your upbringing.
Well, I'm from the West Coast, from Oregon. Um,
Okay.
and then when I right out of high school, I joined the United States Air Force. I was there for 21 years.
Wow.
Well, first assignment was out here in Maryland, where I currently live. Was here for 5 years, moved to Japan for 7, and came back and finished out my time here.
Well,
Liked the area so much, didn't want to leave. So I worked, some other jobs. And while I was going back to school, after one job was particularly not a good fit for me, I realized that it wasn't what I wanted to do. I went back to school, and then I had been doing photography at that point for about 10 years. And I got pulled in to help on a show called Behind the Set by um, a friend of mine and a model that I had worked with. She needed a cameraman, I became an advisor because the public access channel wouldn't allow me to use the equipment unless I had the training. So even though
Okay.
I knew what I was doing, I got it. So I helped her out with that after I'd been one of her interview subjects. And then um, we did an interview with a film, and they needed a cameraman, and so I had experience, so I came on board.
hmm
Did that, did another film, did a couple other little projects, and then me and a couple other guys decided, we wanted to tell our own stories instead of working for somebody else.
Yeah.
So we created Key 13 Films, and then sent a photo a couple years later. Of course, we created it right when COVID hits.
Hmm.
So all these grand plans we had got pushed way back. Then we had the two founding members that came in with me, unfortunately, because of COVID and COVID related job issues. They had to, unfortunately, move on to other pastures.
Hmm.
And then, so it was basically me. It's been me for the last almost 6 years now. And well, actually, wow, maybe 4 years now. Yeah.
Yeah.
And so, we released 3 films so far. Our crime drama series Profession, our uh, drama Anna Key,
Mhm.
which is, won quite a few awards. So Serious Professional won a few. And George A. Romero's Resident Evil, a documentary,
Yeah.
helped produce that project, which was directed by Brandon Salisbury. And we have These Things, which we just got like 2 more days of post production, mostly for special effects, and that'll be out later this year. We have Heavy Duty Man, and both of those films are under our Cinephoto line, which Sexy Sorority Sisters of Death is going to
Hmm.
be and as well as Quattro. So These Things and Heavy Duty Man hopefully will be out by the end of the year. Definitely These Things, Heavy Duty Man's being edited. Then we'll have Following and Quattro probably by the early next year because there's a lot of visual effects that we have to do with Quattro. Following not so
Yeah.
much. And then after that, hopefully, if we get Sexy Sorority Sisters of Death funded, that will be our next project. If not, then we will be kind of taking a step back and figuring out what our next thing. So, I'm all self-taught. I never went to school. I do have some schooling. I've been a movie reviewer since high school. I've been watching movies and writing reviews. My mother was very much into making sure that I watched the classics,
Yeah.
uh,
Yeah.
movies like Lilies of the Field, Slaughterhouse 5, The Man Who Shot Liberty Valance, the old Sherlock Holmes. I mean, so many different films from so many different time periods. So that I had developed that appreciation, which helped me write hundreds of reviews as well and get quoted on some DVDs. Um,
Nice.
and kind of really helped all just kind of dovetail together into making movies and doing photography. And it's been, still doing the photography, not as much now because the movie thing takes up all my time, but it's been an
Mm.
absolute blast. I love it.
That's wild. Your mother sounds like a great woman for getting you into where you got.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Definitely.
She let my creativity. She let me be creative. I had dreams at 7 years old that I was going to become this great novelist.
Yeah.
Wow. Well, what did I know at 7? Nothing. So, but she allowed me that creative avenue. You know, she let me try that. She even encouraged me to submit to some comic book companies, which
Hmm.
Oh, nice.
I still have my rejection letters.
Yeah.
Uh, I got at least there's two. I think there was a third, but it's gotten lost in multiple
Hmm.
moves. But yeah, she was very very good at letting me express my creativity and let me find my story. And then once I started gaining experience in life and I learned so many different things and had so many different experiences, I mean, I've gotten to do some really cool stuff in my life. Um, it all just kind of helped build the storyteller that I am. And not to, hashtag humble brag, but I've got probably about 60 ideas, most of them just in the treatment stage. But I have about 10 scripts ready to go. And it's
Awesome.
Wow.
just a matter of finding the money
Yeah.
to do it because the talent's out there. But,
Yeah.
so if it hadn't been for my mom making sure I watched movies other than science fiction, because I was a hardcore science fiction nerd, if it wasn't for her making sure I watched other types of movies, I probably would not be as good as I feel that I am.
Hmm.
Some would debate maybe I'm not that good. I don't know. That's okay. I'll let the words speak for themselves.
Yeah. Yeah.
So while you were doing the reviews for a film, were you like also writing your stories on the side?
Yes. Some of the stories, like Anarchy, I had for like about 15 years by the time I
Wow.
started putting it to paper. There's one that I have called Voyager, which I started writing in the 90s.
Okay.
Um, so, I've been writing stories since 7. Not most of them at that time period will never see the light of day.
Of
But
course. Yeah.
when I got into my 20s and I, started gaining life experience, there's some stories that I still know and still want to tell.
Yeah.
Originally, they were going to be novels, but I think I can tell them visually in a story, and it's still going to be interesting. So, yeah, I've been, writing the reviews. It helped me look at films with a critical eye. It helped
Mhm.
me understand pacing and characterization, how to introduce your characters. And I don't know about you guys, but I'm the nerd that listens to the DVD audio commentary with the director or
Mhm.
the
Mhm.
Blu-ray audio commentary. So I learned from the masters, from their audio, them talking about a film. One of the best advice that I that came from was Peyton Reed, who directed the Ant-Man movies. And
Oh
one of
wow.
my favorite movies, one of my guilty pleasure movies, is Bring It On, the cheerleader movie.
Yeah.
And
Okay.
when I was listening to the audio commentary, he said that when you introduce your characters, you need to introduce them in a way that is memorable and that you will remember. You'll find out who they are in just that moment. And so, once I knew that and I went back, they introduced Kirsten Dunst's character. She's, doing the cheerleader thing, but you find out she's really neurotic
Yeah.
and she's very worried about this. But, cheerleading is her life. And then Gabrielle Union's character, when you meet her, she's big, she's flamboyant, she's, bold and strong.
Yeah.
So these that's a lesson that I carry with me many years, and with whenever I write, um, to avoid writing like paper thin characters, but I also try to make sure that their introductions, you understand who that person is,
Yeah.
but then that first scene, that's when you got to grab them by and say, this is the person you were supposed to love, this is the person you're supposed to hate, and
Mhm.
you got to figure that out there. Otherwise, nobody's going to waste their time because they're not interested in what
Nobody
happens to.
cares.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Touching on how you brought up talents out there and introducing characters and critical eye. When you're casting for your movies, what exactly are you looking for in people who are casting for it?
The key thing for me when I do casting is I'm looking to see if the person makes me forget who they are
Hmm.
and that
Yeah.
they are playing the character. Now, I am with a lot of actors. I hate video auditions. I hate doing it. I hate making people do it. I much prefer the old days. But there are disadvantages to that. There's they call the cattle call, where you get everybody in, they all sit in the hallway, they all look at each
Yeah.
other and all that.
Sizing them up.
Yeah, exactly. So there's benefits and detriments to either way, but um, I kind of, because of COVID and
Yeah.
because a lot of times I'm interviewing actors that are in, like for 60 Sorority Sisters of Death, I was interviewing actors that were in California, Las Vegas, Wisconsin, um, way up north, and it just is not economically feasible for them to come down here on their dime, and I sure as heck can't pay for it.
Yeah.
So video auditions, unfortunately, have kind of become a way of life.
Yeah.
But, and this is one of the things I do like about it, is that if they can't convince me by doing a video that they can play the character, how the heck are they going to convince me in person?
Yeah.
Because
Yeah.
basically they're going to be doing the same thing. They're going to be on a screen trying to convince me and the audience that
Hmm.
they are whatever character they're playing. If they can't do it on a video, they're not going to be able to do it in person. So, in some ways, doing the video auditions does help cut down on the amount of people that um, that audition because they may be good actors, they just may not be good for the role, or
Yeah.
Right.
unfortunately, they may be terrible actors and they're not going to get the role either. But if I can, every actor that I've hired has nailed it on the video audition, and then depending on the project, um, I may have them come in for a chemistry read or a second audition in person because I want to see how. Usually, it's a kind of a combination chemistry read and second audition, so that I can see how well different pairings match up.
Hmm.
And once I find that pairing that I really feel works, and the acting, of course, is number one. I mean, they've
Yeah.
got to be able to act.
Yeah.
But once to do that, that's what makes it. And by doing that, I have been lucky enough that the people that I've cast in all my films, but even more so in the more recent ones, have
Hmm.
all just been absolutely wonderful, dynamic actors that make me forget who they are, or I knew their work uh, so well that I knew they could play the character. And sometimes I'll even write a character with that person in mind, and hope that they'll be able to actually be in the film. And, if they are, great. If not, I'm sure I can find, hopefully, I'm sure, but I'm still sure I can find somebody that's going to be able to match that. They just may not be the same character that I wrote, but
Yeah.
they agree close. So if they can make me forget who they are, that they're an actor, that I can actually believe they are the character. That is, and then they can act, and they can make it feel natural, not like, you can tell when a person is acting and when a person is being. I
Hmm.
know that sounds kind of,
No,
fruitful and
no.
all,
No, I get
you
it
know.
because like you can tell sometimes when like the role is forced, or like the like whatever they're doing is like it's forced and it's kind of robotic, or it's like you're just like, what are you doing here, kind of thing. I kind of wanted to ask a little bit about Anna Key because I didn't get to watch it, but just from like the stuff that I got to see on the trailer and a couple of the YouTube spots on it. So like, how was that process with Amanda Megan, writing and directing that? Like, so you said you had written it years ago. Did she just kind of like add more elements to the story, or like how was that?
Yeah, well, so when I brought Amanda on board as the director, Amanda helped me first. She went through the script, she went through and she pulled out, there were some subplots that really just didn't need to be in there.
Right.
They were distracting, they wasted time. She also gave a lot of great input on the reactions of the female characters.
Right.
Excuse me. I am, obviously I can get in touch with my feminine side, but I am not a woman. There are some things that I don't know, or my reactions may be written from a more male perspective.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So Amanda, when she read through it, she was like, "Okay, well, this would do, this would do, this would," and in many ways, Amanda is Anna Key. Matter of fact, most women have been Anna Key at one time in their life.
Hmm.
Uh, every woman's been Anna Key. Every man has dated Anna Key,
Right.
and it's that one that is just fire, and as the line goes, fire and damnation in an angel's body. We've all experienced that, and if you're gay or lesbian, you still encountered an Anna Key. You've dated an Anna Key.
Yeah.
Uh, just maybe Arnold Key, or but so Amanda was really instrumental in making sure that the characters and their reactions, especially on the females, was appropriate. And she's openly bisexual as well. So because the main character is bisexual, she was able to give that perspective as well,
Hmm.
because
Hmm.
I'm not. So by doing that, plus with her as being the director, So she understood, and she was able to understand where these characters were coming from because she had that input in there to help do that. So she was very instrumental in making the script a little bit tighter,
Yeah.
Right.
and about making sure that the characters, as I mentioned earlier, the character reactions are real and believable and memorable, and so that that's what I'm going to do. And you know, and that was the first time I actually let somebody direct one of something that I had created. So that was an experience. That was a learning experience for me. I had
Yeah.
I kept doing the producer thing, and she's like, Matt, look, I got to do this my way. It's not the way you would do it. I got to do it my way.
Yeah.
So when she did that, and that was, she needed to do that, and then I understood. So then that taught me, okay, so if I work on a project, I either got to give it over completely or I got to run it completely. I can't
Right.
co-parent because too many times I'll start putting in my thing, and that's not helpful for the director because they've got to put their own statement on it, their own story. They got to do it their way, and it's
Right.
not my way. And so I had to learn that lesson, and I'm glad I did because now I know that whenever I'm on a project, if I have a project that I love, but I just can't be the one to do it, and I give it over to somebody, I'm going to say, okay, this is it. I'll expect dailies and I'll expect, any issues. Just let me know. Other than that, this is your show. You got this much money, you got this much time,
Mhm.
get her done.
I saw the basically the layout and the story of it, and I was like, it just fascinated me because we, again, like you said, we've all had that sort of relationship with the Anarchy, right? And also like mentioning polyamory too. I was like, I know a
Hmm.
lot of people in that lifestyle, and I was like, man, that's just so interesting to me because like me, I don't think I could do that, but it's like, but to see other people kind of go through that journey, I was like that, I love those kind of stories, and I was like, that just gravitated me, Um, anyway, I can't wait to see that. Just want to throw that out there. Um, yeah,
So let's dip into this. How did you come across producing this George A. Romero Resident Evil documentary? How did you pull this one out of your hat? Because we watched it
yeah,
and it was amazing. It was
yeah, I
it
loved
was
it.
it was beautifully done. There
Hmm.
was so much I didn't know
Me
that
too.
I'm glad that I watched to understand the pain and trials and tribulations that it took for this movie.
And we got the garbage we got today. Okay, maybe not
Oh
garbage.
my
No,
god,
okay,
I
okay,
know.
okay. That's a hot take.
I can't
I
stand those
won't say
movies.
garbage.
I
I
can't
won't
stand
say
these
garbage,
movies.
but it's just a movie that I don't want to see. But anyway, I was texting Nick and I was like, dude, you got to see this
Yeah.
documentary. It's so good. And he finally, he came around and saw it too. And it was, yeah. How did
So
that? How did you get involved in that project?
Well, that was the brainchild of Brandon Salisbury, who is the director and one of the producers, obviously, and the
mhm.
writer, because he helped formulate up the framework for and came up with the visual style, all that. That was another one of those cases where I was more on the administrative side.
Mhm.
My job was to handle the contracts, to manage the funds, make sure that we got this. He came to me about a couple of years, but yeah, a little over a year or so before we actually started filming. And he had this idea, and I was a big fan of the Resident Evil
Yeah.
franchise,
Yeah.
the video games, and I did like the first two movies. The one in the desert, not so much a fan, and I
Yeah.
haven't had the courage to watch the rest, but I have them all on Blu-ray.
Trust me, me either. I have not finished this whole. This whole I can't. I refuse to. I can't do it.
Yeah,
As
yeah.
a horror
That
fan, I
third one,
collected them too. So
yeah, that third one was rough. It was real rough.
They all kind of are.
Uh, but anyways, so he came to me and with the idea, and then we spent a while trying to find the right people
Yeah.
to do it. And so Tom Robinall, who is the cinematographer on Resident Evil, he is the one responsible for making it look as amazing as it did, as well as Brandon. He was very much the creative director on that. Like I said, my involvement, I had some minimal input on the production as far as where we film and all that stuff, but that was Brandon had his very very clear idea of what he wanted. So I was smart enough to just go along with that, and it just the idea was good. Once we got Tom, that it all just clicked. It just looked amazing. We talked with Capcom. We got their
Right.
blessing. We got, he went to Garv, the George A. Romero Foundation,
Mm-hmm.
and got their involvement in it. That's why we have he got access to the original scripts.
Yeah. The audio and
And
all that stuff.
right, and then it took about a year to get it done
Right.
because it was a lot of coordination, and
Rights and
then
stuff.
we
Yeah.
put it together, and we got once it came out, we got featured on a news article on CNN.
Mm-hmm.
We got featured in a feature in Rue Morgue, some on the Fangoria website, which
Mm-hmm.
was for me, I was a Starlog guy, but of course I loved Fangoria as well. So that
Yeah.
was a huge thing. And to see the film, mentioned on CNN, in the same news segment, they were talking about Emma Stone. And I was like, okay, that's kind of cool.
Sweet. Yeah.
Very, very tangential connection. But yeah, it was just, it was the right idea at the right time. Brandon, he knew what he wanted. He was ready to go for it. He put it all together, and we very happy with the results.
Yeah.
And like I said, Tom Romanall really he deserves a lot of credit as well because of just the visual style and um, and I still had my bit. I'm one of the evil faceless executives, so I was pretty much playing myself
Mm-hmm.
in the movie. You see the back of my head, you see my hand, you
Yeah.
know, in there. That's about it. So you can see that. I think that's you see that part in the article on CNN. So I could mark at least did something on CNN off my bucket list.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
right.
Still counts.
Yeah.
Yep.
Beautifully done. Beautifully done. Everything, the editing, the filming, the pictures, the
Yeah.
visuals. It's just incredible documentary.
I'm
Yeah.
Thank you.
just so amazed how much I didn't know too. I'm like, oh man, imagine if there was a George A. Romero, Resident Evil film. That would have been so either disastrous or amazing,
Yeah.
depending on like, yeah,
You never know.
yeah,
And unfortunately, we will never find out.
never know. Yeah,
Constantine films is they went the direction they went,
yeah,
and that's having been on both sides of that particular coin. Sometimes you have your own way, and sometimes you have to go with someone else's, and it just may not work out. So, but uh, the documentary pretty much tells you, all the trials and tribulations, and unfortunately,
Yeah.
we'll never get to see it.
yeah.
I really wish we could have done reenactments of some of the scenes, but that
Wow, that
was
would have been
that
cool.
was no that was no bueno. So, but we made up for it in content and in the visuals.
Yeah.
So you know
And
what you
that's
should
why
do next? You should do a biopic of George A. Romero.
I wouldn't put it past Brandon to do that, but Brandon is working on his own projects. He just kind of, Key 13 was the production partner on this one. We helped you know, get it together. But Brandon has his own projects, and he's working on those, and so I'm looking forward to see what he comes out with
Yeah.
next.
Yeah,
Because it's
definitely.
he's working with Tom Robinall, so the two of them, they've like formed this team up, and so I'm really looking forward to seeing what the two of them come up with next.
Yeah,
I'm sure it's going to look amazing.
right on. Thank you for bringing that movie to our attention.
Yes, so happy to. Yeah.
Well, I mean, it's one of the cornerstones of what I call phase one, and I know Marvel uses phase one, and I'm not
Right.
trying to
Right.
imitate Marvel. But it was one of the four big films: Anarchy, Serious Profession, Resident Evil, and Heavy Duty Man. We're all part of our phase one,
Yeah.
uh, which means we just got to get Heavy Duty Man done, and phase one is done, and then with these things, Quattro, and following, that's phase two, and then probably phase three would be Sexy Sorority Sisters of Death, because that is going to be a huge undertaking. And there will not, I learned my lesson. I'm not doing two films at the same time.
Yeah.
Oh, no
I
way.
did that
Yeah.
with Following and Quattro, and it kicked my ass.
Oh,
So I'm
I
not
bet.
doing that again.
Well, that's a lot of
I,
work. It's a
I
lot
made
of
the
work
same.
right there.
I made the mistake of doing like two scripts at the same time. I'm like, I don't even know. Like, I can, well, let's stick to one, for now.
Yeah, get it done, move on to the next one. Yep.
But I have so many ideas all the time. I'm like, I got to write it down at least, But that's just how I roll.
So I like how you brought up how when you started your production company, it started during COVID, and I see that you have some YouTube shorts, and one of them is 2021 AC, which happens to take place during COVID, and I believe is that you acting in it? Am I mistaken, or is that you?
No,
You-
it's me.
That's what
I'm sorry you had to endure my acting.
Dude,
Uh,
I loved it. I loved it. I thought it was entertaining, and I actually, want to dip into more about it because, like, what gave you the idea for this? And I believe, and I probably would have think it's because you started this at the same time it happened. So, what's your take on that?
well, 2021 AC was actually filmed in 2020, when we were in lockdown. I was frustrated because pretty much every project we wanted to do was now for possibly forever on hold.
Yeah,
We had no idea what was going on. I was very frustrated, and so I just got this. It's like, oh well, I got to do something. I mean, we did Hoodie, and we finished Hoodie and all that. That was before COVID,
hmm
and Paralyzed was right around the time it was starting. I think maybe a little after that, but I was just frustrated that I couldn't do anything.
yeah,
So I took my iPhone and went into my bathtub and my bathroom
I love it.
and completely improv the whole thing. And then my production partner at the time, he watched it. He said, "Okay, Matt, you cut this part out, cut that part out." There was a lot of oohs and ahs because it's
Mhm.
obvious that you're trying it. So cut those out. Make it look like the cell phone's glitching. Make it look like it's over a period of
Yeah,
time. I did that, and it made the short a lot better, a lot tighter. And so we And so after that, we just put it out there. And of course, at the time, I was very social media um, novice, amateur, noob, whatever you want to call me. So did not get a lot of traction. Facebook's really bitchy about the algorithm and external sources. So, and I mean, I'm not embarrassed by it. I own that. I'm happy that I did it. I'm glad I did it. It's not my best work, but I appreciate you guys taking a look at it
Yep.
and that you actually enjoyed it. That makes me actually feel a little bit better.
I liked it.
Well, yeah, I
But
was gonna ask about Hoodie as well because uh, like because it has a lot to do with social commentary, right? Like especially part one, and so was that done at the same time as like the start of COVID, or was that like a little bit
that
later?
was before. That was
That was before.
before.
Okay.
We that was so before before COVID came along, we had this like list of we had these ideas.
Yeah.
And we were going to we wanted to come out of the gate swinging,
Yeah.
and we knew we weren't quite ready for a feature film. Um, but we knew that we had a story to tell in Hoodie. And yes, Hoodie is one of the kind of the key tenets that we started off with, and we still actually pretty much still keep to it, but it's been modified obviously as
Hmm.
things in the world has changed a little bit.
Yeah.
But we wanted to, you know, a lot of our peers did went started with horror, and horror is they just go straight up slasher flick. Matter of fact, the first film I ever worked on was a slasher flick.
Yeah.
Uh,
Hell yeah.
and so we decided, if we're gonna do that, if we're gonna do a horror short, let's make it a little bit more than what it appears to be. Now, you can just watch it just as is, and it works. But if you pay attention to the social commentary, and this was right after when George Zimmerman
Right.
killed Trayvon Martin, and that whole thing just went absolutely crazy.
Yeah.
And so you know I've always had this philosophy, and I always love it in a movie when, like the movie Let the Right One In,
Hmm.
where they bully the kid, and not realizing that his the girl that he's been hanging out with, she's a vampire that can rip your skull right out of your brain, out of your spine, right out of your body. So I always like that, where you always got to be careful who you mess with, because you never know what they're going to be. And
Hmm.
so the fact that uh, Zuck is very, he's racist, and he's the
Yeah.
worst kind of racist, where it's these people,
Yeah.
or bad influences, or instead of just coming right out, he's masks it and social concern and
Right.
and all that. So so that's why the hoodies, which has often been, especially in the UK, not so much here in America, but
Hmm.
definitely in the UK, it's a symbol. A hoodie represents uh gangs or
Like a
disaffected,
hoodlum.
right, the hood. So
Yeah.
so that's the reason why it was that choice. Plus, that also hid the face until the big reveal.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which at this point it's been out for almost 6 years now, so I'm not worried about spoilers anymore. But yeah, so we wanted, when we did it, we wanted it to be more than just a straight up horror film, a straight up
Yeah.
monster
Yeah.
short. And Paralyzed originally wasn't supposed to be a sequel, but we realized that the character, um, played by Tom Toohey, that he got off scot free, because he just leaves his buddy
Yeah. It took
Yeah.
off on me.
to get torn up. So, um, we decided to go ahead and do that. And then Paralyzed, of course, again, it starts off, you can look at it just a straight up monster in the corner. Is he going to eat me? Lion, it's just like the lion in the room.
Yeah.
Is he going to eat me? But it's also looking about grief and
Yeah.
his own complicity and his friend's racism and not doing anything to stop it or to call him out on it. So, again, that was intentional. We actually had a third segment planned, which was we were going to then kind of put all together into a movie. Excuse me, but unfortunately, the actor that we originally were going to use passed away. He was in Serious Profession. He passed away not long after Serious Profession was finished filming. So I haven't had the heart to go back and redo that third act, because the third act was really good, but it was all contingent upon him playing his character again, and without him here, I just couldn't figure out how to do it. So but I can at least reveal that the third act would have taken place at a police station,
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
and it's kind of the siege movie, which I love a good siege movie where all the heroes are trapped and they're surrounded by like Prince of Darkness, John Carpenter's Prince of Darkness. I love those kind of films. So we were going to do it at a police station where the police are being looked at by a committee that's making sure that they're doing good policing, and of course, the hoodies, after the hoodies decide that they've had enough of what's been going on and decide to take their own action. So I it's a great idea. I got to find a better, not a better way, a different way to tell the story at some point. But with so many other ideas that I've got going on, it's just, unfortunately, it's kind of pushed away aside. But I definitely stand by Hoodie and Paralyzed, both as the little separate shorts and then the remastered version, the 2.0, where we combined them
Yeah,
to
I watched
Yeah,
that.
that's the one I watched. Yeah.
added some extra special effects and sound effects, I should say, and just amped up the story, added some music. So it was the very first script I ever wrote. I had written the ideas, but I hadn't really written the scripts. So this was the first script that I ever wrote, and originally Zuckerman was too racist. So my production partner at the time, the one who helped me on 2021 AC, he says, well, the worst kind of racism is the ones that are subtle, try to be subtle about it.
Mhm,
And,
mhm.
and I happen to agree with him on that point. So we rewrote the character and it just clicked.
Yeah.
And credit to Tom Toohey and Bob Singer. Bob Singer plays Zuckerman. Bob had to play a pretty horrible person.
Oh yeah,
And
yeah. I
yeah,
watched when I first watched it, and they were sitting in the car. I told myself, I said, whatever Alfred Zuckerman did to get beat up, I said he fucking deserved it.
yeah, absolutely did. Most definitely. But yeah, but credit to Bob Singer, because he had to play a role and he did it, and he just said, "I'm going to do it, and I'm going
Yeah.
to do it right." And
Got to double
you
down.
know,
Yeah.
um, he did a great job. And then Tom, um, you know, uh, Tom played a version of himself. He's also very quiet.
Mhm.
He's very soft spoken, but he definitely, unlike like he did in the movie, his character definitely would have spoken up and said, no, no, and he kind of does it throughout there, what do you mean, but
Yeah.
Yeah.
he Tom is not like that. He would have been much more direct.
So, well, you got other movies too that I was checking out, because I went through your whole YouTube shorts and I was watching all of them, dude.
Oh
I was
wow.
checking out. I was checking out. I was doing my homework. I was checking out Phobia's Project R, which and Phobic, which I believe it's kind of the same concept, but just different patients individually.
Right. Right.
What? How did you come up with that? Because that was it was interesting. It was different. It was different from watching 2021 to Hoodie to that. And also I'm gonna dip into this later, but one last time as well. But how did you jump from that to Project R to Phobic?
Well, originally, uh, there was a movie we written called Phobias, which, of course, as we found out, there's like 8 movies named Phobias. So we changed it to Phobic later on.
Yeah.
But again, that was a result of COVID. That was going to be our big tentpole feature. That was going to be right after we did Serious Profession. We're going to roll right into filming Phobias.
Okay.
In hindsight, that was a stupid idea, but fortunately, we never raised the funds for it. So, and then COVID came. So at that point, it just it died on the vine, so to speak.
Yeah.
But so we decided, okay, well, we're not going to be able to do it now with COVID going on, and we still got to deal with Serious Profession and all that. So let's do some shorts to maybe keep the interest in it until we can get to actually making the feature film.
Mm-hmm.
And so the first one, Project R, we all did together, and then by the time we got to the second one, Phobic, Phobia, my production partner had left, and so I was on my own. So I did that with Heather Harlow and Jay Jean and Jolene Matthias and Ilya Schroeder, and then I did so we did that one. And unfortunately, again, I wasn't very social media savvy. I'm
Yeah.
still not. So it did not get a lot of traction. And what we thought there was enough interest in it turned out to really kind of wasn't.
Okay.
But the idea was intriguing. I really liked it. So decided, you know what, we were going to go ahead and give it a try and see what we could come up with. And so we did those, and it's definitely, I would say, experimental. Uh, it because we were just at that point we were just so frustrated with everything going on. We said, okay, how can we make ourselves stand out in a sea of a lot
Yeah.
of other people out there trying to do the same thing?
Yeah.
And maybe maybe it was we were a little bit arrogant, maybe it was hubris. I mean, it really depends on your point of view. But we just realized that, okay, yeah, this isn't quite going to quite do what we wanted it to do. So,
Mm-hmm.
I like the project. I'm quite happy with it. It's just, it was a result of frustration. It was a result of us hoping to maybe do the main movie, but again, some things just go to the wayside just because with so many other ideas that we had and so many projects. I'm still probably going to do some more of the shorts. Whether or not we do the actual feature, I don't know, but it's just always fun to try to see, kind of, just try something different.
Yeah.
And try to practice that. Try to see, okay, can we build a short film and give the suspense and I did all that in my studio, my little basement studio, and you know uh, Rachel Nepis, who did the first one, she really set the tone, and then Heather Harlow and the rest of the cast came in on the second one, and there's still a third one that I want to do. It's just a matter of just getting the time to do it, but it was a project of what it was. It's it was good practice. It was definitely more artistic than some of the other stuff that I've done. But always try to inject every project that I do. I always try to inject just a little bit more, even though we don't have necessarily the budget.
Yeah.
What could I do with a big budget? Oh, a lot, but
Right.
I don't have it, so I got to do the best I can with what I got, and I think we do pretty good. And Phobic and Phobia's Project R are two of those films that kind of show that you don't have to have a huge set and lots of money to make something interesting.
Exactly. Yeah.
Right.
I like how Phobic ran. I could tell the actress in Phobic had a hell of a time because she was just cussing up a storm, and I know she was having a ball in that movie for sure. I was watching her just go off and was like, she's loving this. Another movie you have is One Last Time, which I thought was interesting as hell. Because it's a bunch of women sitting around the table, mourning someone's death first, and then it just deeply drips in, and you find out that these women have murdered all of their husbands and are and are trying to figure out how they're going to murder the second husband of Anna.
Right.
So I think that's one of your latest ones too, 2024. Can you tell us about that? Because I know that's one of your, that's a whole nother change too in filming right there.
Right. Well, it's actually One Last Toast.
Yeah.
Not One Last Time. Sorry.
I'm sorry.
No worries. No worries. So One Last Toast was originally it's an offshoot of an idea. So I had an idea. Again, back when I was young, well, not young. Gosh, I'm not young at all. When I was younger and more arrogant, I came up with we announced a production slate, an ambitious production slate that we were never ever going to be able to reach. And I had originally it was called Women's Murder Book Club.
Okay.
But obviously that title's kind of
Yeah.
terrible title. And then I came up with one called Black Widows, and it was about 5 sociopaths that go into group therapy and figure out how to become better sociopaths.
That's
And
excellent.
while the idea was great, and I started writing the screenplay, and I realized that I'd leaned too far into the psychopathy, the antisocial personality disorder is what it's really is called, and the characters were all the same, and because that's how sociopaths are, they are actually have no personality until they are putting on the fake.
Yeah.
And in group, they didn't have to be fake, so they were really fun. So I realized, okay, I got to do some artistic license, but at that point, it just eluded me. So I still liked the idea, still wanted to tell the story, so I created One Last Toast.
Yeah.
And kind of change, and basically, it's the two movies are very have that similarities that they're all Black Widows, but Black Widows is going to be like kind of like that, got that Spring Breakers vibe.
Yeah.
Okay.
Very heavy colors and lots of cool, natural born killers kind of feel to it.
Mhm.
Where One Last Toast was supposed to be a little bit more, was more subtle.
Yeah.
And yeah, so the idea, they come together, they're mourning, and it just looks like, oh, great, another chick flick, chicks dealing with this and that, and then
And surprise.
then surprise, you start
Yeah.
throwing in, it's like, well, that was how did they kill him, and they start going into that, and so
Yeah.
again, that's again, I wanted to take a trope and toss it on its head a little bit. And so that's how that came out, is that, I wanted we came up with 5 women who are very distinctive, which was going to, which also helps me realized what I was doing wrong with Black Widows, and got a couple of people like Shonda Rawlings and Demi Tohagen. I'd been wanting, and Blaine Chesley, I've been wanting to work with for a while, and we brought in Helen. Those were two new ones, and it just all clicked together when we did the first read through. And
Yeah.
so, it just seemed to be kind of a recurring thing. It was a frustration at one project, so decided to see, okay, maybe trying to kind of work through my issues with the one project, doing something else. And, that's One Last Toast is one of my favorites. Um, I really liked the idea. I love the acting in it. Everybody, I loved it. Um, you know, I would love to do it again with a little bit better equipment. I was using some, I was doing it on the cheap, and I feel it kind of shows sometimes, but for the most part, I was really happy with how it came out. The acting is really what sells
Yeah.
it.
Hmm.
Yeah.
The dialogue helps, but the actors really sell it. So, I just, I like kind of subverting expectations. Oh, it's a chick flick. No, it's not. It's something
Yeah.
else entirely.
It's a
And
complete turn. I mean, these chicks are these chicks are like so fucking conniving. They kill their husband. One kills her husband for abuse. The other one kills her from neglect. The other one's womanizing. The other one's gambling. I said, "Damn, this is some ruthless shit, dude." But it turned out well. I liked it. It took a turn, and it came out well.
well, thank you. I appreciate that. But again, not a lot of people saw it, which is a shame. I think, but if not little shameless product plug here. On our website, we do sell a Blu-ray called Project Blue that
Mhm.
has all the shorts that you mentioned is on that. And of course, it was all recorded, or most of it was recorded in 4K.
Yeah,
So you get to put on the Blu-ray, you get to really see what the quality, because YouTube
yeah,
compresses and
Yeah.
yeah. You would,
does that, so you can really see it. So that is available on our site, that people can buy that along with tons of behind the scenes stuff and things like that. So I wish more people would knew about it. I wish more people would see it. um, Same thing with last night, just I really like, these folks take the time and the energy, and they're all really good actors to make something that wasn't, you know, just they came in, they did it, and um, I really wish they got a little bit more traffic than they do, but it takes time, and
Yeah.
as much as I love my movies, and I love every single movie that we've made. I would, I kind of wish that, more people would see those. But whose fault is that? It's mine, because I just don't have the advertising budget, and I didn't promote it through social media. Because again, I'm just now learning. I'm like learning from all these people, and I'm using every trick that I have, like with Sexy Sorority Sisters of Death,
yeah,
to take what I've learned from the last almost 6 years and just apply it. And so
Right.
hopefully what I'm doing here maybe will help get some of these other projects, these other short films, which you enjoy, which I think other people would enjoy, to give them a chance and just to show off the amazing talent that I've been fortunate enough to work with.
well,
So real quick, so what was the inspiration behind Sexy Sorority?
Oh, I love the Satanist movies of the 70s. And yeah,
Oh,
there
okay.
was the Satanic Panic of the 80s. But
Yeah.
for me, the Satanist movies of the 70s, that was Race with the Devil, Equinox, Spectre, and there's a few others. I just love those movies. And then there were some made-for-TV movies like Midnight Offerings, which came out in 1980, I think. So it's like right there on the cusp.
Mhm.
I love the satanic films of the 70s, the straight up slasher, exploitative slashers of the 80s. And then when that 90s feminist wave hit, where the final girls like Sidney Prescott in the Scream franchise really started, those kind of characters really started to show up in horror films. Final Girl, you know, Amy Steele in the second Friday the 13th,
Mhm.
those she was atypical for that time period. And it really started to grow. And in the 90s, I think it just hit its fever pitch. And then, movies like Jennifer's Body, The Craft, Practical Magic, of course, witches and that, and who doesn't love a good sorority movie? I mean,
Right.
there's plenty of those. Black Christmas, of course, obviously, big, somewhat of an influence on there. But and there's even some Japanese influences. Like there's a Japanese movie called Eiko Eiko Azarak, The Wizard of Darkness, and fantastic low budget film. Um, Matter of fact, I just did well, like 60-second short about it, and I actually put in some of the influences of that movie, why it helped me create Sexy Sorority Sisters of Death. So it's a story that the funny thing is it actually started off as an in joke. um we were doing the proof of concept trailer for Heavy Duty Man, and in the movies from the 70s, whenever they did the trailers, they always had like a couple of films. And we didn't have a couple of films.
Yeah.
So it's like, from Key 13 Films, maker of Paralyzed, and Senate Photo Studios, makers of Sexy Sorority Sisters of Death. And so I just threw that in there because the name sounded pretty freaking cool.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden it was like, I gotta write this.
I'm
I
on it
gotta
right
write
now.
this.
Yeah.
I gotta write this story. And it took a couple years actually. It was hard finding the right balance that I wanted to go, because eh, I was I was worried that a movie like Sexy Sorority Sisters of Death, if you don't have the sexy, which is sex and nudity, if you don't have it in there, it's nobody's going to want to. They're going to be like pissed off
Yeah.
because
Yeah.
expecting Sexy Sorority Sisters of Death,
I would
and they
expect it.
yeah, and they get tepid teachers of Tempe. So I had a hard time with it because there were people out there who were, for some reason, because I put sex and nudity in my films, were basically calling Anarchy softcore porn, which no, not even close. And so I was really kind of pissed off, and it was like, why are people saying that? Where some other films, and I'm not going to mention because I don't want to crap on other people's good work, but they
Right.
got a pass. So why was I not getting a pass? Um, why did I have to deal with it for movies that didn't even have hardly any sex, had hardly any sex, and virtually no nudity? Why am I getting hassled and not? So it
Yeah.
took a while for me to write it because I was afraid that people were going to basically call me a porn monger or some
Yeah.
stuff like
Yeah.
that. And I got nothing against porn. Don't understand this, folks. I am no Puritan. I'm a c'est la vie kind of guy. You do what you do when you do, and let your flag fly. Don't kink shame, all that
Yeah.
stuff.
That's right.
So it took a while for it, but then when I finally realized that no matter what I did, people were going to say crap,
Yeah.
I
Mhm.
was like, screw it. I can, I don't know if I'm sure you guys have seen Blade Runner.
Yeah.
Uh,
Hmm.
you know that scene when Leon is beating the crap out of Deckard and he goes, painful to live in fear.
Hmm.
That is so true. It is painful to worry about because I'm making a movie called Sorority Sisters of Death. And I've even had people, oh, you're making softcore porn. Okay, fine. If that's your narrow definition because of the title, fine. Is there sex and nudity in it? Absolutely. Am
Yeah.
I ashamed of it? Absolutely not.
Yeah.
And if people are going to dump on me because of it, screw them.
Yeah.
I don't watch it. I know, and
Yep.
hopefully we'll get enough people who will want to watch it.
Mhm.
So once I finally came to that realization and I stopped being, I mean, yeah, I'm a little pissed off about it, but I, it's like, all right, I can either put up or shut up. And so I'm putting up, and I'm putting up Sexy Sorority Sisters Death. I love it. Everybody who's read it, the cast that we have is just phenomenal. And every single person who's read it has absolutely loved it. I mean, I was so lucky. I got Jessa Flux, I got Alice Winkler, I got Penny Aphrodite, I got Morgan Milan. I mean, just so many great people, well known in the genre as well as in other and we got a lot of newcomers in there. I mean, it's a lot of names, but we have Mel Heflin, who I worked with on my very first film, so this is nice to be able to work with her again. And we have a new actress, Christina Schlatter.
Hmm.
She's out of Vegas, and she's going to be our hero, our lead pledge. Then we've got some newcomers like Nora Gatz and Izzy Gonzalez and Samantha Maliski is also going to be doing special effects and a whole bunch of other folks that some I haven't announced yet, but they'll be out probably by the time this episode airs, unless you guys like do the quick turnaround and air it the next day. Um, Still doing the announcements, but uh, everybody's on board. Everybody is so excited to do it. Everybody who auditioned and I talked with them at length. They are okay with the sex scenes if they have them. They're
Yeah.
okay with the nudity. They're okay with the blood. They're okay that it's a Satanist film. It has satanic and
Yeah.
it has the return. Asmodeus, who is a villain that I never felt really got enough of a due. But it just this is I really want this movie, and everybody involved really wants this movie to get made. Which is part of the reason why I'm doing all the social media stuff and learning
Hmm.
how to do that, because we believe in this project, every single one of us on the cast and crew. And I'm still bringing in some people. But everybody who's on board right now is totally behind it. And so we want to do the movie right. We want to do it well. We want to bring something that probably hasn't been seen in a while. Yeah, we have sex and nudity in it, but there is a purpose for it. It's not there. We're not the characters are all fleshed out. The dialogue is witty. It's got a camp factor. It's also got a feminist bent to it. I mean, it's got everything, and everyone. I think everyone's going to enjoy it, and it's going to be one of those movies you're going to be like, it's already over. And I
As soon
think
as I saw you announced it, I was like, I'm in. I was like, I gotta see this like ASAP. Again, thanks. We ran out of time, but again, thanks for coming onto our show. Giving us all of your background and everything from Key 13 Films. We're gonna really try to like push and get this film made. I mean, or I'm gonna post your go or not GoFundMe, but the links for funding and stuff like that, some of your shorts, so we'll definitely push it on our social media side as well.
Definitely. Keep13films.com. If you want to check out what they got, order some things, keep13films.com is where you want to go. So check out, you guys and you ladies. Keep it up.
It's actually key13film.com. There's no S on the film. So just go, you'll just get a dead link.
Okay.
Sorry about that, folks. I was in my house and right in the middle, and then all the power in my house went out for like a
sucks.
minute.
Shit
So
happens.
that's why all of a sudden now my video is like this. 'Cause I just went out of power. But it's key13film.com. It's and the follow about it's also K13 Films on Instagram, as well as SSSOD movie on Instagram for Sexy Sorority Sisters of Death. But if you type in Sexy Sorority Sisters of Death, I guarantee you'll find our Facebook page and you'll find our Instagram. That's available. Key13. If you type in Key13 Films, you'll find it, but the website is www.key13film.com. I know I should add the S to it, but just because originally we were Key13 Film Partners, and that was just way too long.
Yeah.
So,
Also, as we're heading out, but if you need somebody to die in a film, hit us up. We will definitely fly over there and be executed.
Right.
No problem.
We'll check it out. For sure.
well, there is a scene where there are men being subjugated by women. So
Keep us in
I
mind.
know. I got.
Please keep us in mind. All
Send
right.
Send us the information.
Again, thank you so much for jumping on. We will be
Pleasure to
keeping
meet you,
in contact.
Mr.
Yeah,
Mr.
pleasure to meet you. Thank you for everything you've done. All right, you have a great day.
Appreciate it.
Thank you so much.